Come on,
We've got balloons. All right, you ready? Do you prefer Aboriginal or Indigenous, and what is the difference?
I prefer Aboriginal because it tells people who I am and where I'm from.
I think Indigenous is a general term for people from that country, where Aboriginal is my culture, means that I'm from Australia and that I'm part of that community.
I don't think there's much of a difference, but I do know that some people prefer one or the other. I like being referred to as a First Nations of the lands.
What I don't like is having the word Aborigine. So if you don't say that's an Aborigine, they are an Aboriginal person, but they're not an Aborigine. It just has so much connotation attached to it from past history that the word Aborigine is offensive and racist and has so many negative connotations that please don't use that Aborigine. Why is it important to ask if you identify as Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander? How do non-Aboriginal Australians ask this question?
It's very important why we ask somebody about if they're Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander. We need to make sure they get the right support in their healthcare system. If we actually ask that, tick the box, it's not used against them, it's actually used to support them through their healthcare journey.
Aboriginal people do have a higher rate of heart disease, do have a higher rate of stroke, do have a much higher rate of diabetes. And they're issues that you may need to consider in your clinical practice, that you need to cover those issues.
I would say just speak simple, plain English. No jargon, layman's terms, and you'll find that you'll get the response that you need. But never be ashamed to ask the question.
Don't be reluctant. Ask the question. Be open. I think if you're kind of awkward about the question or you make things kind of edgy, it makes things hard. But I think that, there's plenty of people who are very open and very honest about our background and our culture, and they'd be more than happy and more than proud.
What is NAIDOC Week and what does NAIDOC Week mean to you?
Historically, it came from the Day of Sorrow, which was celebrated on Australia Day and then moved away from January to July. And as I said, now progressed to rather just a day of celebration to a week of celebration.
And I think it's a week where we've got some great community involvement opportunities for both Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians to really get involved and experience the culture and see, just how lucky we are as a nation to have the history that we have.
What is the one thing that you wished more non-Aboriginal Australians understood about Indigenous Australians? Well, that's a pretty broad question.
One thing. That's hard. One thing is hard.
One thing I wish people understood was some of our past and some of the things that we've had to go through as Aboriginal people, and why that makes us the way we are today and the people that we are, why we're so resilient, why we're so strong in our opinions, and why we're not going to back down. What does racism feel like?
Racism to me feels like somebody's shaming me, somebody's not accepting me as an Aboriginal person. I feel that I've got to prove my Aboriginality, and nobody's listening, and it's not acceptable.
Well, it's very hurtful for a lot of people.
I guess for me sometimes, as someone who's really proud of my culture and someone who, it's working really hard to actively try and, educate and close the gap and be involved, that feeling of overhearing those conversations, having people say those things as a, off the bat comment, and I think sometimes it's really disheartening.
Yeah, it definitely makes me feel like, like I have to hide being Aboriginal sometimes, or that I can't be as proud to be Aboriginal, that I have to hide it. But then it also makes you angry at the same time, that this is still existing in this world.
If you see racism or hear it, call it out. It's not acceptable. it's not needed. But yeah, it's not a good feeling at all.
Oh, this is one for you.
What's the role of elders in Aboriginal cultures? Important question. I believe that our elders are our teachers. We learn from them, we respect them, and they've got a lot to offer. I'm not an elder in my family. I have an older sister, so she has that role. But I'm an elder within my workplace. There's no significant event to become an elder, or a particular age. It's just what communities see you as.
To me personally, I would consider an elder someone that's helped shape my upbringing. They gain that respect and they gain that role of an elder.